Today, we will explore a perplexing and twisted criminal case that occurred in Sina County, west of Tongren City, Guizhou Province, China. The complexity of this case far exceeded the imagination and expectations of experienced criminal investigators. A river called Wujiang flows through Sina County. On the afternoon of May 7, 2008, a local resident named He Lin was walking along the riverbank when he suddenly spotted the floating body of a partially undressed woman. Approximately 30 minutes later, the police arrived at the scene after receiving the report. Upon retrieving the body from the water, the officers noticed that the victim's upper body clothing was missing, and she was only wearing a pink bra. The lower half of the body was clothed in dark blue sports pants with white stripes from the brand Kappa. On the cuffs of the pants, investigators discovered yellow mud stains. Although the body had been submerged for an extended period, the mud remained firmly adhered to the fabric, indicating that the stains were caused by strong friction. Underneath the sports pants, the victim was also wearing a pair of underwear and sleep shorts. This unusual attire led investigators to speculate that the victim might have been either sleeping or hurriedly left her home during the night without changing clothes. Additionally, the victim's fingernails and toenails were painted red. She wore a transparent pink bracelet on her right wrist and a pair of size 5 US athletic shoes. However, despite the accessories and clothing, the police were unable to identify the victim at the time. A thorough forensic examination later revealed several significant clues. According to the autopsy report, the victim was a female standing approximately 5 feet 1 inch tall, estimated to be around 18 to 19 years old. Though she had not yet reached the legal marriage age in China, the examination confirmed she was over 7 months pregnant at the time of her death. Further examination revealed noticeable bruising around the victim's knees. Combined with the mud stains on her pants, investigators suspected that she had been forcibly restrained, possibly forced to kneel before her death. The estimated time of death was more than 10 days before the body was examined. The cause of death was determined to be massive blood loss leading to shock. The victim had a deep, clean-cut wound on her neck caused by a sharp object. The wound was so severe that both the esophagus and trachea were nearly severed. Disturbingly, the victim's eyes had been gouged out, with additional sharp object wounds around the eye sockets. These brutal injuries suggested that the killer harbored intense hatred towards the victim. The sheer brutality of the injuries was horrifying and difficult to witness. What kind of person could harbor such intense hatred against a young woman? Initially, investigators suspected a crime of passion, considering the victim was pregnant. They speculated that the horrific murder could be linked to the unborn child. To pursue this theory, forensic specialists collected DNA samples from both the victim and her unborn child, in hopes of identifying the father. Unfortunately, the case took place in 2008 when China's DNA database was still underdeveloped. The investigators could only conduct basic comparisons, which failed to yield any matches. The attempt to trace the father through DNA analysis came to a dead end. As a result, the police shifted their investigation towards identifying the victim herself. Based on the forensic findings, investigators developed 3 primary leads regarding the victim's identity. Lead 1. At the time of the crime, Sina County was economically underdeveloped, and the locals typically dressed modestly. The victim's attire stood out significantly from the area's usual style, leading police to believe she might not have been a local resident of Sina County. Lead 2. During the autopsy, traces of pickled chili peppers, a common ingredient in the local Guizhou cuisine, were found in the victim's stomach. This suggested she had likely been living in Guizhou for a significant period before her death. Lead 3. Based on where the body was discovered, police suspected the killer had disposed of the body upstream in the Wujiang River. However, the Wujiang is the largest river in Guizhou, with an extensive basin and multiple tributaries, making it difficult for investigators to pinpoint the exact location where the body was dumped. They could only distribute missing person notices along the upstream areas and neighboring counties in hopes of gathering additional clues. Due to the characteristics of non-local women living long-term in Guizhou, the police expanded their investigation to a site known as the Sealin hydropower plant. In 2008, Thousands of workers from other provinces were employed for the construction of this hydropower project. Most suspicious was the fact that some contractors had allegedly hired young women from other regions for liquor service and other high-end entertainment purposes. Consequently, the police conducted a large-scale screening of all non-local women at the Silin hydropower plant. However, they failed to identify any suspect matching the victim's description. Unable to establish the victim's identity, the investigation hit a dead end. What the Sina County Police didn't expect was that this deadlock would persist for an entire decade. It wasn't until early 2018, when the National Police Database had been expanded and updated, that authorities finally identified the father of the unborn child through a DNA match. The man was identified as Yuan Da-jun, a 41-year-old from Yubei District, Chongqing City. According to residency records, Yuan had a criminal history, including involvement in assault, extortion, and illegal gambling activities. At the age of 16, he left Chongqing for Zhongshan City in Guangdong Province to work, where he eventually met his first wife, Xu Mohua. In August 2006, Yuan and Xu Mohua got married and welcomed a son that same year. By May 2008, when the unidentified female body was discovered, Yuan and Xu Mohua were still legally married. This indicated that Yuan had been having an extramarital affair, which resulted in the victim becoming over 7 months pregnant. Intuition told the investigators that Yuan was a prime suspect, but they were far from realizing just how much more complex the entire case was. Using the residency records as a guide, the police quickly located Yuan and brought him in for questioning. However, his statements during interrogation took the investigation in an even more unexpected direction. Through Yuan's statements, the identity of the unknown body found along the Wujiang River was finally confirmed. The victim was identified as Ji Yun, a native of Zhejiang County, BG City, Guizhou Province. She was a woman Yuan had met in August 2007, though their relationship had lasted only about 2 weeks before they separated. According to Yuan's confession, his personal life was indeed complicated, as he had been involved with multiple women both before and after the murder. Xie Yun from Guizhou had been introduced to him by a cousin named Deng Chengjun, who had asked Yuan to help her find a job in Zhongshan. Yuan admitted to deceiving and becoming romantically involved with Xie Yun. After living together for around 2 weeks, Xie Yun eventually found employment at a factory and left Yuan. The police focused their investigation on Yuan Da-jun's whereabouts before and after the crime. The findings revealed that from August 2007 to December 2008, Yuan had remained in Zhongshan with his first wife, Xu Mohua. Due to the lack of opportunity and physical presence at the crime scene, investigators temporarily ruled out Yuan as the perpetrator. To confirm with absolute certainty whether the unidentified body was indeed Ji Yun, the police decided to contact her father, Xi Ping, for verification. However, when Xi Ping was informed about his daughter's murder, his reaction was one of complete shock. He asked the police, "My daughter died in the Wenchuan earthquake. How could she have been murdered?" Without a doubt, this new information from Xi Ping complicated the case further. To ensure absolute clarity, the police decided to send 3 investigators to Zhejiang Province to meet with Xi Ping for further confirmation. According to Xi Ping's account, although his daughter Xie Yun often worked far from home, they kept in regular contact. During the Lunar New Year in 2008, his brother's daughter was getting married, and Xie Yun returned home from afar with her mother, Wu Shuiying, to attend the wedding. After the festivities ended, Xi Ping mentioned that he planned to seek work in Zhejiang Province. However, his daughter Xie Yun suggested he go to Zhongshan City in Guangdong Province instead, as she knew a man who treated her well and could help him find a job. Acting on her advice, Xi Ping traveled with his wife and daughter to Zhongshan. In Zhongshan, Xi Ping finally met the man his daughter had mentioned. However, according to Xi Ping, this man was not Yuan, but another individual with the surname Zhang. Although Xi Ping never inquired about Zhang's full name, the young man's physical characteristics left a strong impression on him. He was relatively short, approximately 4 feet 11 inches tall, with an average appearance but a noticeably muscular build. Additionally, he walked with a slight limp. Xiping also recalled that Zhang's voice bore a striking resemblance to that of a police officer and that his hometown could only be reached via waterway. Without question, these details immediately drew the investigators' attention as they closely matched evidence from the crime scene along the Wujiang River. Recalling further, Xiping mentioned that the last time he saw his daughter Si-yun was in April 2008. At the time, finding construction work challenging, he had left Zhongshan for Quanzhou City in Fujian Province in search of better job opportunities. By mid-May, Xiping discovered he could no longer reach his daughter Zi-yun by phone. Concerned, he contacted the man named Zhang to inquire about her whereabouts. Zhang informed him that Zi-yun had followed another man to Wenchuan County, Sichuan Province, and might have perished in the devastating Wenchuan earthquake. Zhang claimed that since May 12, 2008, he had also lost contact with both of them. Upon hearing this, Xiping admitted feeling doubtful, yet partially convinced. He made efforts to search for his daughter and the mysterious man from Sichuan, but was unable to find any trace of them. Struggling with financial difficulties, Xiping eventually refrained from reporting the disappearance to the police or traveling to Wenchuan to search for his daughter. As time passed, he gradually believed Zhang's explanation, assuming his daughter had tragically died in the earthquake. After listening to Xiping's account, the police collected a blood sample from him for DNA testing. Through a comparative analysis, they confirmed that the unidentified body found was indeed Zi-yun. This marked a significant breakthrough in the investigation. However, just as progress seemed within reach, Xiping revealed another critical detail that drastically complicated the case. At the local police station in Zhejiang Province, Xiping disclosed to investigators that his wife, Wu Xueying, had also gone missing along with their daughter Zi-yun in 2008, and he had not received any news about her since. According to Xiping, before the year 2000, his relationship with Xueying had been stable. They lived in their rural hometown, raising pigs for a living. Though their income was modest, it was sufficient to sustain the family. However, tension arose when Xueying's younger sister and Xiping's older brother unexpectedly developed a romantic relationship. For reasons unclear, this situation deeply upset Xueying, leading to unresolved marital conflicts between her and Xiping. By March 2004, Xueying left Guizhou alone and moved to Chongqing City for work. During this time, rumors circulated in the village claiming that Xueying was romantically involved with another man and had adopted a rather promiscuous lifestyle. Upon verifying the rumors, Xiping felt a mix of anger and disappointment, eventually choosing to cut contact with her. 4 years later, in January 2008, Wu Xueying unexpectedly returned to Guizhou with her daughter, Xie-yun, to attend the wedding of Xiping's brother's daughter. However, the brief reunion failed to repair the strained relationship between the couple. After the wedding, Xueying left Guizhou again, stating she would return to Chongqing for work. Since then, Xiping never saw his wife again. While searching for his daughter, he attempted to contact Xueying, only to discover her phone had been disconnected. Xiping admitted to the police that he had long suspected both his wife and daughter may have perished during the Wenchuan earthquake. However, the police believed there was something unusual about the situation. They suspected that the mysterious death of Zi-yun might be connected to the sudden disappearance of Xueying. Therefore, the following morning, they traveled to Chongqing City to investigate Xueying's whereabouts. After several days of investigation and questioning, the officers only managed to locate a woman named Wu Rui, who closely matched the description Xiping had provided for his wife, Xueying. Surprisingly, the person who provided this lead to the police was Deng Cheng-jun, the same acquaintance of Zi-yun's former boyfriend Yuan, mentioned earlier in the investigation. According to Deng, Wu Rui had been his girlfriend more than a decade earlier. The two met while working in Chongqing in May 2004 and eventually became romantically involved, living together for some time. Later, Wu Rui moved to Zhongshan City, Guangdong Province, for work, which led to a long-distance relationship. Occasionally, she would return to Chongqing to visit Deng for personal reasons. Deng revealed a striking detail. During their relationship, Wu Rui had become pregnant 3 times. However, each time she would disappear for a while, only to return with no visible signs of pregnancy. Deng claimed that he once considered marrying Wu Rui, but she repeatedly avoided the topic, providing vague excuses. Despite the relationship being mostly transactional, Deng described Wu Rui as a cunning woman with unpredictable behavior, often leaving him unsure of her true intentions. During the Lunar New Year in 2008, Wu Rui stayed at Deng's home, and the couple spent a memorable holiday together. However, after the celebrations, she returned to Zhongshan City, Guangdong Province. By May 2008, Deng realized that her phone was completely disconnected. Upon seeing a photo of Shui Ying during the investigation, Deng positively identified her as his former girlfriend, Wu Rui, and confirmed she was indeed the legal wife of Xi Ping. As for Xie Yun, Deng had always assumed she was merely the niece of Wu Rui, Shui Ying. This was the primary reason he had introduced her to his cousin, Yuan. However, Deng never imagined that the 19-year-old Xie Yun was actually Wu Rui's biological daughter. At this point, investigators decided to officially connect the death of Xie Yun with the disappearance of Shui Ying for a joint investigation. But the lingering question remained. Where had Shui Ying mysteriously vanished? The police expanded their investigation, which seemed to circle back to Zhongshan City, Guangdong Province. However, just then, Deputy Police Chief Zhou Shifei of Sina County recalled a cold case from 9 years earlier. On January 7, 2009, the Sina County Criminal Investigation Team received a report from a local resident about a body found in a concealed cave in Kangjiashan Village, Hepingxi Township. The cave's location was highly secluded, known locally as the Ma Zi Cave. Upon preliminary inspection, authorities found that, despite the narrow entrance, the cave unexpectedly opened into a spacious area. A local resident had noticed an unusual-looking bag inside the cave. When curiosity led him to cut it open with a machete, he discovered a severely decomposed human leg inside. After a thorough forensic examination, 4 critical clues were identified. Clue 1. The victim was a middle-aged woman between 35 and 40 years old. She had been deceased for at least 6 months, estimating the time of death to be around the first half of 2008. Clue 2. The victim had dyed blonde hair and red-painted nails. This fashionable appearance was quite rare in Sina County, which was economically underdeveloped at the time. Therefore, the police speculated that the victim might have been a woman from another region who had come to Sina for work. Clue 3. The victim was wearing a short-sleeved nightgown on her upper body, with only underwear on the lower body. Based on this, the police theorized that the victim was likely resting or sleeping when the crime occurred, suggesting that the murder possibly took place during the night and that the perpetrator was someone familiar with the victim. Clue 4. The body was wrapped in a fabric sack with a transparent waterproof plastic cover on the outside. The fabric sack resembled the type commonly used by locals for storing grain. This detail suggested that the murder could have occurred at home and that the killer had used a readily available sack to transport the body. Furthermore, the choice of the Ma Zi Cave for disposal indicated the perpetrator's familiarity with the area, suggesting he was most likely a local resident. Based on these clues, the police began investigating the villages surrounding Ma Zi Cave. They focused on single or divorced men in the area to identify anyone who might have brought women from other regions to live with them. However, after over 2 months of continuous investigation, the police were unable to identify any suspects. For nearly 10 years, despite monitoring the National Missing Persons database and attempting to match the victim's DNA, no significant breakthroughs were made. It wasn't until the investigation into Shui Ying's disappearance resurfaced that the police developed a bold hypothesis. Could the unidentified female body discovered in Ma Zi Cave in 2009 actually be Shui Ying, who had been missing for years? To test this theory, forensic experts conducted a DNA comparison between Xi Yun and the unidentified body from Ma Zi Cave. The results confirmed their suspicions. The body had a mother-daughter relationship with Xi Yun, conclusively identifying the victim as Shui Ying. At this point in the investigation, the police decided to merge the 2 cases into a single inquiry, as they discovered multiple striking similarities between the 2 murders. First, the time of death. According to forensic results, both Shui Ying and Jie Yun died around April to May of 2008. Second, the location. Both women were murdered in areas along the upper reaches of the Wujiang River, and the sites were relatively close to each other. Third, the method of murder. Autopsy reports revealed that both Shui Ying and Jie Yun died from sharp force trauma to the neck, with the depth and shape of the wounds being nearly identical. Fourth, clothing similarities. When Jie Yun was found, she wore long pants with a pair of shorts underneath, while Shui Ying was discovered wearing only a short-sleeved nightgown. This suggested that both victims were possibly in a resting or sleeping state when attacked, with the perpetrator exploiting their vulnerability to commit the crimes. So who was the real perpetrator? Based on previous investigations, the police had ruled out Jie Yun's ex-boyfriend, Yuan Dajun, Shui Ying's ex-boyfriend, Deng, and Shui Ying's husband, Xi Ping. If Xi Ping's testimony was truthful, the prime suspect had to be the man surnamed Zhang that Xi Ping had mentioned. Following Xi Ping's description, the police decided to reinvestigate the villages along the upper reaches of the Wujiang River. A local boatman soon provided a crucial lead. According to the boatman, a middle-aged man named Zhang Dexin from Kangjiashan village, Hepingxi town, closely matched Xi Ping's description of the man named Zhang. After obtaining Zhang Dexin's identification records, authorities confirmed he was indeed the same man Jie Yun had once been involved with in Zhongshan. On the morning of August 20th, 2018, the police arrested Zhang Dexin at his home. During interrogation, Zhang Dexin quickly confessed to the crimes. However, his statements once again exceeded the investigators' expectations. According to his confession, the person he had a romantic relationship with was not the young woman Jie Yun, but her mother, Shui Ying. The timeline rewinds to late 2006. Zhang Dexin was working alone at a construction site in Zhongshan, Guangdong Province. During this time, he met Shui Ying, who was working as a hairdresser at a local salon. Recently divorced and emotionally vulnerable, Zhang was drawn to Shui Ying's charm and beauty. She was eloquent and attractive, and Zhang quickly developed feelings for her. He became a frequent visitor to the salon and eventually won Shui Ying's affection. However, Zhang had no idea he was getting involved in a major deception. At the time, Wu Shui Ying was using her younger sister Wu Rui's identification and hiding the fact that she had been previously married. According to Zhang's recollection, while they were together, Shui Ying had a lavish spending habit and frequently asked him for money under various excuses. To meet her demands, Zhang had to work even harder to earn a living. Despite his efforts, Shui Ying often claimed she needed to visit her family and would leave Zhongshan for Chongqing, nearly 870 miles away. Later, through a timeline investigation, police discovered that her primary reason for visiting Chongqing was to meet her other romantic partner, Deng. After spending the money Zhang gave her, she would return to Zhongshan to live with Zhang again and continue exploiting him for financial support. Zhang Dexin admitted to the investigators with frustration, saying that he had exhausted himself working to satisfy Shui Ying's demands. He confessed that he had proposed marriage multiple times, but Shui Ying never gave him a clear answer, instead finding endless excuses to avoid commitment. In January 2008, Shui Ying suddenly suggested visiting Dexin's hometown in Sina County for the Lunar New Year. This unexpected decision delighted Dexin's parents, who even prepared a red envelope with 3,000 yuan, around $450, as a welcoming gift. Dexin stated that after receiving the red envelope, Shui Ying acted friendly and generous, quickly winning the affection of his parents. However, less than 2 days later, Shui Ying unexpectedly claimed she needed to return to Chongqing for the New Year celebrations. At that time, Dexin still believed Shui Ying was genuinely from Chongqing. In reality, she used the opportunity to return to Deng and spend the holiday with him. Dexin recalled feeling frustrated with Shui Ying's sudden departure, but continued to hold hope that she would eventually settle down with him. In 2007, due to the family's relocation for a dam construction project, Dexin's family received compensation totaling over 50,000 yuan, around $7,500. Eager to marry Shui Ying, Dexin's parents withdrew the compensation money and entrusted him with the funds for an engagement proposal. By mid-January 2008, Zhang Dexin took Wu Shuiying to the county center of Sina. While shopping, Shuiying requested to buy some new clothes for the New Year celebrations. However, after she entered the fitting room, she disappeared without a trace. Dexin repeatedly called her phone, but it was powered off. He searched the entire shopping center but could not find her anywhere. In the end, he returned alone to Hepingxi town, filled with suspicion. Regarding Shuiying's sudden disappearance, Dexin had no way of explaining it to his parents. He could only make vague excuses, but his anger and unease continued to build. Based on previous investigations, the police discovered that before the new year, Shuiying had first gone to Chongqing to meet Deng Chengjun. Later, she returned to her hometown in Zhejiang County, Sichuan Province, to attend her niece's wedding. The police suspected that Shuiying's actions were premeditated and calculated. She had initially used the excuse of celebrating the Lunar New Year to obtain the 3,000 yuan red envelope from Dexin's parents. Later, she exploited the shopping trip in Sina County to steal the family's 50,000 yuan, $7,500 compensation fund. Her sudden disappearance was not a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a carefully planned escape. After the new year, Dexin, feeling deceived, returned to Zhongshan to continue working and saving money. However, over a month later, after disappearing completely, Shuiying suddenly contacted Dexin again. Over the phone, she explained that she had gotten lost in the shopping center, and coincidentally, her phone had run out of battery. Unable to reach him, she claimed she had no choice but to take a taxi to the bus station and return to Chongqing alone for the new year. Although her explanation was filled with inconsistencies, Dexin, being lonely and still emotionally attached, chose to believe her. Shortly after, Shuiying returned to Zhongshan, bringing her daughter, Xieyun, with her. With the help of both Dexin and Shuiying, Xieyun found work as a shampoo assistant in Zhongshan. At that time, she was already over 5 months pregnant. By mid-April 2008, after receiving his quarterly salary, Zhang Dexin brought both Shuiying and Xieyun back to his hometown in Sina County. At their house in Kangjishan village, Dexin's mother, Li Changying, prepared a lavish dinner to welcome Shuiying and Xieyun. After dinner, the Dexin family divided the rooms for resting. Wu Shuiying and Dexin stayed in the master bedroom, while Ziyun and Dexin's mother, Li Changying, slept in the smaller bedroom next door. Dexin's father, Zhang Honglai, rested in the living room. According to Dexin's recollection, that night as they were preparing to sleep, Shuiying suddenly demanded money from him, saying, "I owe a gambling debt that needs to be paid off urgently." Dexin responded that he would try to help pay her debt, but was currently short on cash and couldn't provide the money immediately. Only after receiving multiple promises from Dexin did Shuiying finally lie down to sleep. However, not long afterward, she abruptly woke Dexin from his sleep, accusing him of lying about not having money despite just receiving his salary. At the time, Dexin was extremely tired and could barely recall how he responded. He only remembered that Shuiying suddenly lost control of her emotions and began hurling extremely harsh insults at him. Those offensive words instantly triggered all of Dexin's memories of being repeatedly manipulated and financially exploited by Shuiying. He recounted feeling overwhelming anger and humiliation, leading to a heated argument between them. As the argument escalated, Shuiying began threatening Zhang Dexin, saying, "If you don't give me the money, I'll have you and your entire family killed when I return to Guangdong." Dexin stated that, as a man, he couldn't tolerate such threats and humiliation. Overcome with rage, he impulsively grabbed a fruit knife from the table in the master bedroom and slashed Shuiying's neck. Shuiying, severely wounded, screamed in pain. Hearing the commotion, Xieyun and Dexin's mother, Li Changying, rushed into the master bedroom. At that moment, Shuiying, still struggling in a pool of blood, attempted to run out of the room but collapsed near the bedroom door, quickly losing all signs of life. Faced with the horrifying scene, Xieyun was trembling in fear, unable to speak. Dexin's mother screamed and collapsed onto the floor, crying uncontrollably. Meanwhile, his father, Zhang Honglai, remained silent, overwhelmed with anger and helplessness, and eventually left the house quietly. As the night passed and tension settled, Lee Chang-ying gradually regained her composure. Realizing they needed to deal with the body, she retrieved some grain sacks from the house and, together with her son Daxin, wrapped Shui-ying's corpse inside the sacks. At around 3 a.m., Zhang Daxin, with the help of his mother, carried the body to Ma-zi Cave and disposed of it. The two then returned home and thoroughly cleaned the bloodstains from the house. Early the next morning, Daxin prepared to take Xie back to Zhongshan, Guangdong Province. However, while waiting for the ferry at Dongjialuan Pier, the pregnant Xie lost control of her emotions. She shouted at Daxin, threatening to report him to the police for murdering her aunt, a fabricated relationship the two had previously agreed to conceal their true connection. Daxin recounted that Xie threats filled him with both fear and anger. In a moment of panic, he pulled the same fruit knife from his backpack and ended Xie life. After confirming she was no longer moving, Daxin admitted that his rage still hadn't subsided. He had once heard a superstition that a dying person's eyes could capture the last image they saw. To destroy what he believed could be incriminating evidence, he gruesomely gouged out both of Xie eyes. After committing the act, he discarded the murder weapon, Xie body, along with all the personal belongings of both Xie and Shui-ying into the Wujiang River. Zhang Daxin then boarded a boat alone and fled the jurisdiction of Sina County. He went into hiding in Zhongshan City, Guangdong Province, working there until 2016 before returning to his hometown in Sina County. Upon completing his confession, Zhang Daxin claimed to the investigators that he was unaware Shui-ying and Xie were mother and daughter and was also unaware that Xie was pregnant at the time. Daxin repeatedly emphasized that his actions against Xie were solely out of fear of being reported to the authorities. However, the police did not believe his justification. If he had no intention of killing Xie beforehand, why did he carry the fruit knife with him while fleeing? Moreover, the fact that Xie was 7 months pregnant at the time of her death made it nearly impossible for Daxin not to notice. In the 3rd year following the crime, Daxin's father died from illness, reportedly due to prolonged emotional distress. Daxin admitted feeling profound guilt and torment, but still chose not to surrender himself for over a decade. Regardless of his reasoning, he was ultimately responsible for the brutal murders of 2 individuals and the death of the unborn child. On July 25, 2019, the Tongren Intermediate People's Court publicly tried the case, widely referred to as the 2 lives, 3 bodies serial murder. On September 2, 2019, the court delivered its first instance verdict, sentencing Zhang Daxin to death for murder and permanently revoking his political rights. Additionally, Zhang Daxin was ordered to pay civil compensation to Xi Ping, covering funeral expenses and other economic losses resulting from the deaths of Xie and Wu Shuiying, totaling 120,000 RMB. Meanwhile, Zhang Daxin's mother, Lee Chang-ying, was also arrested for allegedly covering up the crime and destroying evidence. She is currently awaiting strict legal punishment. Ultimately, this case is not just a chilling crime, but a profound warning about the devastating consequences of broken relationships, where loyalty and sincerity are absent. May this story serve as a reminder of the importance of faithfulness, responsibility, and compassion in family relationships. Cherish those around you and nurture happiness with genuine love. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.